So there's some sad news that has come out about the Dalai Lama. Yesterday, there was a young man who went up to give the Dalai Lama a hug as one of his followers, one of his worshipers, and the Dalai Lama proceeded to act in a way that was deplorable. And it's just so sad because the Dalai Lama is supposed to be and claims to be the most enlightened person on the planet as the 14th reincarnation of Buddha himself. And so it's just good for us to recognize what enlightenment really means. What it means is that you're a person who is detached from the human passions. And so if there's a scary moment, you're not afraid because you are detached from that human passion and that misunderstanding of what true reality is. If you understand what true reality is, well, then you're not going to be afraid in any situation because you recognize this is all happening for the formation of your next life. And so if you behave the way that you should, then your next life will be an even better reincarnation than the one that you have now. And so you're not afraid when things are scary. And in this case, he shouldn't have been doing whatever that was, whatever passion that came from. Let's call it lust. But as an enlightened individual, you are supposed to be somebody who is above the passion of human lust because you understand and you recognize that lust is just a low form of reality. It's not really what is going to provide you with the greatest life, the most fulfilling life, give you the most compassion. Lust is a taking thing, and you're supposed to be emptied of that. And so here what we see is that the Dalai Lama is not as wise as he claims to be, and he is not as mature as he claims to be, nor is he detached. He is still very quite attached to the human passions. And so the other thing I wanted to talk about was that he claims to be the reincarnated Buddha. And when we see things like this, we have to recognize that maybe, just maybe, he's wrong in his belief. And if he's wrong, if he's not who he says he is as the reincarnated Buddha, well, then what he is delusional. And he's been delusional about being the Dalai Lama for most of his life. And not only is he delusional, but really, frankly, I think we could call him a megalomaniac. And for most of the rest of the world, if we were to claim to be Buddha, we would be locked up. But honestly, what this proves about the Dalai Lama, and I feel sorry for the guy. I really do. I have pity on this because what it proves is that he's just another human being. He's a human being who is sinful just like me. I am a sinful human being, and a human being who others should not worship, who others should not put their trust in, because what's going to happen is if you put your trust in me, if you put your faith in me, well, I'm just going to fail you, and then your life is going to be blown into chaos. Just like many who have been following the Dalai Lama for the last several decades, I'm sure that hundreds of thousands of people right now, their lives have been thrown into chaos because they have to figure out, how do I interpret this? He must not be who he says he is. And what does this mean about my faith? And what does this mean about the ways in which I have interacted with this religion over my life? And it's just a struggle because this is strong evidence that he's not who he has claimed to be, that the religion is a sham, and that the world should look to a faith that doesn't have a false leader at the helm. And there is only one faith where that is true. Jesus Christ is the only one. He was sinless. He did indeed claim to be God, and he proved it by coming out of the grave. Jesus was no megalomaniac. He was who he says he was who he said he was, and was perfectly sinless. And he died on the cross for your sin, for my sin. And there is indeed going to be an afterlife, but it's not going to be one where it's reincarnation and you get a better life next time. It is simply that at the end of your life, you are going to be evaluated. You will be brought before your Creator, and he will evaluate your life and look and see, do you have sin or do you not have sin? And if you have sin, well, then what's going to happen is you are going to end up spending eternity separated from him. The only way that you can spend eternity with him is if you don't have sin. And that only happens if you place your faith in Jesus Christ as your Savior, because he's the one who died on the cross and took your sin for you. And so the Dalai Lama, what he actually needs Jesus. He needs to see that there is only one Savior, and it's not your own personal journey to enlightenment. What it is Jesus Christ who died for your sin. And so we should be praying for the Dalai Lama in the few years that he has left. I think probably this is a result of him just kind of losing it at the end of his life, and he lost his control over his passions. Things kind of knocked loose, and we should be praying for him, because as I've watched him from a distance, boy, it really seems like he's a nice guy, but just confused. And it's time for him to end his delusion and submit himself to his creator and embrace that his maker is the only one that can truly enlighten him. God bless you.